Welcome back to another video on Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to be covering 1.21.5, the spring drop, spring to life, all that. So without further ado, let's investigate what this update is bringing. And right here we have a quick example. So we already know the Pale Garden exists. That was the last drop, the winter drop of 2024. However, well, they're bigger now and more common. So that way you should be able to do a bit more building here, and you should be less likely to accidentally find a pale garden that has nothing good in it. So that's always a bonus. So now, the gist of the update. So, of course, this is a drop. It's not very large, it's a minor update, it's not 1.22, so, it's going to be simple. But already we can see one feature here, and that's the parity change of adding dead trees. Fallen logs now exist. Fallen trees work exactly like their bedrock counterparts, including oak, birch, tall birch, spruce, and jungle, although dying trees were not added with them, which includes dark oak. And then we already see the other few changes. So right here we have leaf litter, which is a pretty interesting new block. So let me do a little bit of tick unfreezing because, those dramatic intros were a bit much. So of course lag spike. So right here we have a furnace, and then I'm going to get a leaf block. Get myself some coal, and this is how you get the new leaf litter. So a quick smelting, and here's how they work. So right here, they're pretty simple. They have directional states, and you can see on the right, it's a lot of debug stuff, but you can see leaf litter facing north, segment amount 4 can be replaced. You can place blocks on top of it, so don't worry about your building stuff. It will be easy to work with. You can see, I got some right there. But what else is interesting about this is that it's actually a fuel. So look at this. Yeah, it's not the best fuel, but look at how much generates around. So you can imagine this is a bit revolutionary. So this generates in a lot of biomes. Here, let's go around and just grab some, kind of like sticks. They're not actually that revolutionary, but if you're bored and don't want to have to chop down any trees, well, look, I already got a ton. And yeah, that is a leaf litter. And now you can already see the next new block. Out here in the birch forest, we can see a few changes. Of course, I already discussed the fallen trees, nothing too interesting. Dying trees were not added, so vines are not everywhere. But running around this birch forest, we can see wildflowers. And this is a pretty interesting feature. But ironically, it is basically uninteresting because it was already added. Right here, these are basically yellow pink petals. You could call them yellow petals technically. But still, they are in fact a new flower. Even if they're just a recoded version of the pink petals from the cherry grove, still, it's always nice to have a new flower. They are directional, you can stack them to 4, and they turn into yellow dye. So nothing too crazy. But, you know what else is not too crazy? That was a terrible transition, I'm sorry. The bush. And the bush is definitely something of all time. And also, we can see leaf particles. They spawn from all leaves now. It's not just the pale ones. Everyone has it. So I hope you enjoy your new particles. But here, bush. It generates in a bunch of different biomes. Too many to list. I'll just flash it on screen right here. And well, it's a bush. What did you expect? You can walk through it. It does not drop seeds. It's literally grass, and you need shears to collect it. And then, in order to make more, you bone meal it. It works exactly like glow lichen, though it can be a little bit tedious to create more of, but hey, the farming for this will be incredibly easy. You just need to repurpose your existing glow lichen farms. Also, you can do this for the wildflowers. You cannot do this for the dead leaves though, the leaf litter. Unfortunately, dead leaves do not grow more dead leaves, mainly because they're dead. For a few quick technical changes. For one, well, more data pack stuff, we all expected it. Nothing super revolutionary this time, just some minor touch-ups. And then we have this new collection of blocks. You've heard of the command block, some of you know about the structure blocks. Now get ready for the test blocks. And you know what's cool about this? I have very little idea of actually what they do. So pretty much, this is the new technical block. And you know how a lot of snapshots randomly had things like crafting suddenly not taking your items away, beacons do not function, I don't think that one ever happened, but essentially the Mojang developers, or specifically a former employee who did 1/18th generation, had a world that he'd boot up in every snapshot to make sure nothing like a beacon broke down. So that way, everything stays the same. And I suspect that's why these blocks exist. These are the test blocks. They will test things in the game. And I'm not entirely sure of the actual technical details, but pretty much you can set them to test things. This can be used for map making, mod making, so that way anything that breaks down, you can learn about it very quickly. No going out there and having to build a beacon or re-import a world every time. Set up a bunch of little tests you can do, and then run them, and if they work, you get a green test block. If they don't, you get a sad purple one. And, well, right here, we have one to give messages. There's things for optional conditions. They make beacon beams to tell you. They're very useful if you actually know what they're doing. Unfortunately, I cannot give a good demonstration. But still, it's nice to know. And a quick miscellaneous change you might have noticed already. They lowered the volume of all grass noises. So sugarcane, bushes, grass itself, stuff like that, they're all quieter. So they won't break your ears off anymore. I think personally they're a little too quiet. It's kind of like the inverse of the old calcite problem, where it was nearly silent when running 117 raw. But then in a later patch, they became a bit louder. So if you're not very happy about that change, then you can suggest to Mojang, hey, I'd prefer if the grass noises were slightly louder again. Even if it might not work, it's worth a try because Mojang actually listens to community. In fact, one of these snapshots had cyan sheep generating normally. And you know what that change was a part of? Yep, animal variants. Out here in the desert, we can already see a bunch of new flora around here. The desert is officially not extremely barren. Kind of funny, I was complaining about this in an earlier video. It's almost like Mojang was watching me because they updated a lot of the biomes I was complaining about. But anyways, you can see right here, we have dry grass. And it's a block. If you break it, it doesn't drop itself, you need shears. So here is tall, notably only one block, and short, which is also one block. And you can see when I bone meal it, it works exactly as expected. Nothing very interesting about this. So hey, it's a nice new ambient thing, but it doesn't matter too much. What does kind of matter, although not actually to gameplay, is these new cows. See, they're actually really interesting. They're the longhorns, and they have new textures. They do not have different behavior, but essentially in this new version, hot biomes will have hot variants of animals, and cold biomes will have cold variants, which is, well, one of the changes of all time. Also, before I forget, cactus flowers now grow on cacti, but only if there's air all around the cactus. Essentially, your farms will not break down, but trying to make a farm for these is going to be absolutely awful. And then camels can now naturally generate in the desert rather than being confined to the villages, so now you can actually get them pretty easily. And 2x2 is a lot easier. But let's cover a bit of this. So the chickens here, well, they're golden chickens. They lay warm eggs, so yeah, I can't hide it any longer, but brown egg, blue egg. And then all the spawn eggs have been redone. They're getting really, really confusing, trust me. Even if you might not like some of the designs, it's a lot more readable, and I think almost anyone can agree on that, unless you are the guy trying to memorize the difference between ghast, polar bear, and skeleton. Anyways, we saw the chickens, cows we already saw, the sheep now just have their colors changed around. As I said, they used to generate in really weird colors like red for their rare variants. But fortunately, instead, it's like brown being the common one in a warm biome, and then black being the common one in a cold biome, with the other colors shifted around and pink untouched. And then the pigs. Very delicious looking. So yeah, we have animal variants. Now, we're over here in the snowy biomes, and you can see, well, they're pretty much untouched. Yeah, the snow biomes are just as depressing and mostly useless as before, unlike their hot cousins, which are significantly more attractive with the amount of new things they got. So anyways, we have some cows, the woolly ones. They look pretty cool. They have different horns. The sheep here, of course, are black, and the other colors are shifted around. Then we have some pigs, woolly pigs. And then we have, get this, Polish chickens. So, for those of you that are from Poland, well, now you have your chickens in Minecraft. They look hilarious. I'm all for this. I love the Polish chicken, and you cannot argue otherwise. So anyways, yeah, those are the new animal variants, which means pretty much every animal has a variant now. Horses were modded mobs when they're added, so they already had some. Rabbits were given some, and now all the regular farm animals got some. Now, let's cover something that a lot of people have been waiting for. So, changing it to midnight, and we have firefly bushes. Not fireflies themselves, but still, you can see firefly particles. Your ambience is here. And they finally revealed the real reason why they had to get rid of them. And it wasn't quite what I thought, but it was really similar. So of course they blamed it on, oh, the fireflies, they're toxic to frogs. Well, it turns out that that was actually completely serious. But it wasn't the whole reason. They got rid of fireflies because once they realized, oh no, kids might feed their frogs fireflies, well then they had to move frog light somewhere else. And then already fireflies were really tanking game performance, so they really just said, you know what, we can't do this. We can't have like 30 something mobs flying around. So inevitably it got scrapped. However, the idea remains in the firefly bush. Of course, reproduces exactly how you'd expect. It is a particle emitter. It does not do anything unless the light level is 13 or lower. So essentially, it's just not going to work during the day. That's it. So overall, you have firefly bushes, so that way you can have your fireflies. And in order to make sure they're really cost effective, look at them. They're 1 pixel, not 2 pixels, just 1 pixel. So I hope you enjoy them. Barring the list of bugs that were fixed, and that will be scrolling on screen right now, well, there are some final things I have to say about this update, besides, technical things I'm not qualified to talk about. So right here we have 2 villagers, and you might, well, understand, they were once part of the villager rebalance. Well, it's here now. So if you ever wanted to get yourself those nice little maps, well, you can do them. If you're wondering what villagers trade which, then, well, here's a diagram. But essentially, this allows you to explore your world much easier because, well, they're going to tell you where the locations are for a price. So yeah, much needed change to the cartographer, and it was the one non-controversial part of this rebalance, alongside the wandering trader. The rest of the things are still locked behind an experiment. But we can see right here, you can start offering things to them. Milk bucket for 2 emeralds, fermented spider eye to get 3 emeralds, stuff like that. So let's try that again. Hay bale, a bunch of things like that. So the wandering trader, even if you have everything already and don't care about buying kelp because you live next to an ocean, hey, as long as you keep a few other things around, it's a nice early game source of emeralds. Having trouble getting that first villager to level up? Well, now you have the wandering trader to get you those extra emeralds, and potentially you can trade yourself a few baked potatoes for that one sapling that is really, really far away. So overall, amazing change. And well, that's pretty much it for 1.21.5. The spring drop is a bit small, but that's what drops are about. We get those small changes that really didn't need to be part of a big update. And well, I'd say this is a pretty good change. We got leaf litter, we got some new flowers, the deserts look cool, animal variants, we got ourselves some villager upgrades, getting those ported over, stuff like that. And then mod makers are going to have a blast with those new test blocks. So yeah, fantastic thing. And now we just have to wait for 1.21.6, and eventually we might even get 122. And I have a theory. I think that they're trying to do something like Nether update scale, but because, well, I think Mojang got a little bit lower of a budget after 118 fiasco, Well, they're probably just dedicating the manpower to doing something big like an end update or a massive overhaul, potentially that deep dark dimension if they wanted to do that. Stuff like that. So for now, we just have the drops to make sure the game still goes on healthy. Either way, enjoy the rest of your day. Gearsaw out.